I am Amogh Chakravarthy, a SARAN Sevak and a disciple of Dr. Shri A.P.N. Swami.
यत्पदाम्बोरुहध्यानविध्वस्ताशेषकल्मषः वस्तुतामुपयातोऽहं यामुनेयं नमाम्यहम् यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्म व्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये श्रीमान् वेङ्कटनाथार्यः कवितार्किककेसरी वेदान्ताचार्यवर्यो मे सन्निधत्तां सदा हृदि प्रपद्ये निरवद्यानां निषद्यां गुणसम्पदां शरणं भवभीतानां षट्कोपमुनीश्वरम् श्रीमद्रङ्गशठारिसंयमिवराल्लब्धागमान्तद्वयं श्रीमद्वीररघोद्वहाद्यषठजित्पादारविन्दाश्रयं श्रीमद्वेदवतंसदेशिकयतेः कारुण्यवीक्षास्पदं सेवे रङ्गधुरीणशासनवशं नारायणं योगिनं वेदान्तदेशिकयतीन्द्रकटाक्षलब्ध त्रय्यन्तसारमनवद्यगुणं बुधाग्रयं नारायणाद्ययतिधुर्यकृपाभिषिक्तं श्रीरङ्गनाथयतिशेखरमाश्रयामः श्रीकृष्णमार्यं करुणालयन्तं वेदान्तयुग्मं समधीतवन्तं वत्साभिजातं विदुषां वरेण्यं श्रीभाष्यसिंहं प्रणमामि नित्यम् वात्स्य श्रीकृष्णसूरीन्द्र पदपङ्कजषट्पदम् अनन्तपद्मनाभार्यं भारद्वाजमहं भजे अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। प्रपन्नपारिजाताय तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। यत्प्रपत्तिं विना सर्वैः यस्य माया दुरत्यया धनञ्जयरतस्तं तत् प्रपद्ये परमं महः। Namaskars to all the elders and every one of you who have assembled here. Today it will be a English discourse named Concept of Bhagavadgita. Adiyan is doing this all because of our A.P.N. Swami's anugraham and blessings. So today I would also request all the elders who have assembled here to also bless me in a good way to do more and more these kind of kainkariams. This is one of the most fortunate moment for me to speak here on this occasion. This is the 100th year thirunakshatram celebrations of Shri Ubhaya Vedantacharya Thirukallam NarasimhaRaghavachariar Swami. This Mahan was a very extraordinary person because we see there are not many people like this. There are only few rare people whom we find like this. So this is one of the rare gem which we can find amongst us. That is Thirukallam Swami. So this Thirukallam Swami has been doing the pracharam or spreading the knowledge of Sampradaayam. He was doing it vastly to all the masses, to many people. However, since he was much more interested in Gita or Bhagavadgita, what do we say? So he had seen from all the angles how Bhagavad-gita can be said to other persons, so that it could be useful for the people who hear and they can practice it in their lives, so that their lives would be smoothly going. Because if we read this Bhagavad-gita, our lives would become successful not only with the work life. We normally see the management principles and management skills. This is what we see from Bhagavadgita. But other than that, we have many more things which we can implement from this Bhagavadgita in our daily personal lives, in our homes. So in this way, it is not only for our office or the outer world, it is also for our personal family life, where this Bhagavad Gita is very useful. As soon as I say the name Bhagavad Gita, what do you all get in mind? It's mostly this picture, right? Perumal, that is Lord Krishna, as Parthasarathi, he is being seated in front of Arjuna. He has a whip in his hand and he is turning back to face Arjuna just to give instructions or upadesham to Arjuna. So in this way, here we can see, as we say Bhagavad Gita, this is what comes into our mind. He has a whip, he turns back to Arjuna, he gives upadesham to Arjuna, and as we say Bhagavad Gita, this is what comes to our mind. So, even many Alvars have done Mangalashasanam to this Perumal as Parthasarathi Perumal. Along with that, we also see Perumal took the avataram of Gita Charyam just to do Upadesham to Arjuna. So, this is a very big work. Big is not the right word. We don't have words to describe that, because even if you have heard Upanyasams from our Swami from the past days, we can see that how was the Saulabhyam, or from at what point he is and where he has come. If we see that there is lot of difference. How do I say that? Because see, in the war in those days, not only in those days, even in these days, if there is some war going on, then we cannot hear anything during the war, right? That is how the war was going on even in those days in Kurukshetra. If that is the situation, Arjuna being Rathi, who has seated upwards in the backside, if he says something to Lord Krishna, then Lord Krishna would hear it, is it? No chance of hearing it in the war field. That's how the external noise would be. So in that way, if Lord Krishna cannot hear from Arjuna whatever instructions he is saying, go left, go right, go straight, stop it, if he cannot hear, then how can he instruct Krishna to go somewhere? See, it is actually from inside, it is Lord Krishna who instructs everyone to do something and to do something in some direction, right? Here, if you see, Arjuna externally is instructing Lord Krishna. See, that is what is it is not contradiction, this is a very nice thing that we can see, right? Normally it is Lord Krishna who instructs us from within the heart, but here Arjuna is instructing Lord Krishna by sitting backside. So, how is he instructing? If Arjuna says something, however, Lord Krishna cannot hear, because there is lot of external noise in the war field. So, what is the way to instruct Lord Krishna? He kicks Lord Krishna on his back. This is the way of instructing to Lord Krishna. If he wants to go left, Arjuna kicks on the back, on the left side of the back of Lord Krishna. If he wants to go right, on the right side. If he wants to stop the chariot, then Arjuna kicks just in the middle of his back. This is how Arjuna did instruct Lord Krishna in the war field. So in this way, here you can see what kind of Saulabhyam Perumal has. Saulabhyam is nothing but, let us say, someone who is very high, someone who has a very high status, and he just comes down just for all the devotees like us. That is what Saulabhyam is. That's how Lord Krishna is. And he comes down and he is accessible for every one of us. That is another important point. He can come down and he might if he just sits along with Nandagopa and Devaki in his home, would he be accessible for other Gopas and Gopikas outside? No. He played with all the Gopas, he played with all the Gopikas, he played with cows, he went everywhere, he associated with everyone, he didn't see who it is and whom to associate with, he didn't see all these things. That is why we need to enjoy these gunams of Lord Krishna, not just enjoying, we need to adopt these qualities even in us so that it would be helpful in us in our daily lives. So in this way, if we say Bhagavad Gita, this chariot, this is the picture which comes into our mind first. So, can anyone guess what is the most easiest thing in the world that one can give and the same is not accepted by other at the same time? Can anyone guess? Okay. So, you're right. It is the free advice what we give. If we give any free advice, don't take any other person. Take, for example, me. Right now I am saying a lot of things to you. There is nothing that you want to follow all these things, right? This is what even Arjuna had in his mind. What is the need to follow if Lord Krishna says something? Anyone can give free advice, right? If that is the way, if anyone can give free advice, why should I follow? It is very easy to give advice, but are they following it in their lives? And that is what comes into the mind of Arjuna or anyone who is hearing this kind of upadesha. So here, free advice is given by Vasudeva, but however, if you see, Lord Krishna says this, that Arjuna, are you really thinking I am giving free advice? No, you really don't know what kind of pain my parents Vasudeva and Devaki were in, especially when I had avataram. So even before my avataram, they had undergone lot of pain. What kind of pain they had experienced, that is nothing in front of your grief. Your grief is nothing. Their pain is lot more. If you see Vasudeva and Devaki were married and they were coming in the procession during which Kamsa was taking them in the procession. Kamsa heard a ashariri which said that the 8th son of Devaki and Vasudeva would kill you. Just by hearing this, Kamsa got fear. This is truth. Kamsa got scared. This is truth. Because, let's take an example. Let's say if someone, we have some conversations and we have some arguments with someone, and that person is giving me all kind of befitting reply, and I think that I want to somehow give befitting reply for the other person, right? We normally think that. That's what we humans do, right? So in that way, we try to think that we have to somehow give befitting reply, but if we go there, let's say the opposite person is stronger than me. We cannot give any befitting reply, even if I say something that is not useful, but we try to do something to give some befitting reply. That's what Kamsa did. Kamsa was in fear, but he wanted to do something or other to Krishna, but that did not affect Krishna because he was stronger. Kamsa did many things to Krishna, even before to Krishna, right now to Vasudeva and Devaki. Kamsa put the sword on the neck of Vasudeva. Can you imagine how critical is the situation? This is what Lord Krishna says to Arjuna. Your grief, whatever you are saying, here there is Bhishma, here there is Dronacharya, here there are my other relatives. This is not at all a big grief. What kind of grief and what kind of crisis my father Vasudeva has undergone. Do you know that? This is not a matter of grief at all. That's what Lord Krishna advises Arjuna here. So in that way, if we see Vasudeva's critical situation was so much, Vasudeva was in such a crisis. But today, we are not in crisis, but the small situations make us to think that we are in crisis. Let me give an example. Let's say we are going outside somewhere. We just are, let's say we are going to have some fun in theme park or amusement park somewhere. As a family, we are going in a car. So we are all enjoying and we are going because we are going to have fun. That's what we have in the mind. But as we cross through the traffic, it is all busy traffic, but however we are enjoying because we are going to have fun. But after crossing lot of traffic and also after going through a long distance, if one person in the car remembers that there is no key with me, the home key is not with me, then what happens to the fun that is going on in the car? Everything is destroyed in seconds. All the fun is gone. If we see, this is not such a critical situation as Vasudeva, but we make it critical. We think it as critical. Then, if all the fun is gone, everyone is worried about the key, we take the U-turn, we go back to home. In any case, we may even cancel our trip to amusement park, then go back to home, check our door if we lock the door or not, and then we check that whether there is key in the door or not. Then if we see the key in the door, then we are happy. Right? So this is how the situations are not so critical as Vasudeva and others and whatever our ancestors have gone through, but we make it critical in our lives. So this is what Bhagavadgita says, is that how to handle these kind of critical situations. That's what Bhagavadgita shows. One. Second, the situation is not really critical, but we make it critical just like Arjuna. Just now what Lord Krishna said, your grief is not at all a big deal, but you are thinking it as a big deal. Right? That's how we make our situations as critical, but it is not really that critical. We need to have a separate viewpoint, or we need to have a separate perspective to see these situations. That's when we can realize that this is not so critical. Now, from whom do we get upadeshanas of these kind of knowledge? This we need to get for sure from an acharya, not from anywhere else. And who is an acharya? Achinoti hi shastrarthan achare sthapayatyapi swayam acharate yasmat tasmat acharya uchyate. This is what the Shastra says, which is the definition of acharya. Achinoti hi shastrarthan. What does that mean? One who gives the knowledge of Shastrams and one who does follow that path of Shastrams. Not only that, how does he follow that? He gives upadeshams of Shastram. What does Shastram mean? Shastram could be, in a broader sense, we can divide in many ways, but in broader sense, we can classify it in two ways mainly. That is, one theoretical knowledge what we get, that could be from the Upanishads, Vedas, or the Granthas of Acharyas. This is all the theoretical knowledge. During this theoretical knowledge, we may also get the knowledge of, we may also get the practical knowledge. What is that? That is nothing but the karmas or the anushtanas that we have to do. So we might get the theoretical knowledge of the karma, which is the practice which we have to do, but even this practice, the karmas or the anushtanas which we have to do, You don't have to think, as I say, karma or Anushtaana, this is a very big word, you don't have to think that. Karma or Anushtaana is nothing but, for example, if you are ladies, the most basic karma that you are going to perform is like clean the floor and everything in the puja room, and then put rangoli, light the lamp. This is all what the karma and Anushtaana we have to do. This is not a very big word, okay? But at the same time, as a person who is very deserving to do the Sandhya Vandanam, a person who is very deserving to do a Sandhya Vandanam, that person has to carry on that Sandhya Vandanam. That is what I am talking about. So, Acharyas, they give knowledge, they give theoretical knowledge about the practice, and also they practice and show that to us. That's why Swayam Acharate Yasmat Tasmat Acharya Uchyate. They practice it and then show it to us. That's why they are called as Acharyas. They just don't advise. Why am I saying this? Who is an Acharya here? Because Lord Krishna, who is he? Sarvagnan. He doesn't have any need to go and learn near Sandipani Rishi, but he went to Sandipani Rishi and learnt all the 64 Vidyas under Sandipani Rishi. Why did he do that? Was it necessary for Lord Krishna? Not at all. He just did this because if he is doing Gita Upadesham like this tomorrow, then Arjuna would ask, where did you learn all this? Then Lord Krishna has to have an answer. That's why Lord Krishna did go and learn near Sandipani Rishi. So he went there, he learned 64 Vidyas in 64 days, and then he made an avataram as Gita Acharyan. Otherwise, if Arjuna asks, where would he keep his face? Where did you learn all this from? I just learned inherently. If anyone says this, don't believe that person. He is lying. Don't believe that person. He has to get knowledge from someone else. Only then you have to believe it. That is an Acharya. Not a person who says, I have got this knowledge all inherently. I did Dhyanam somewhere and I got the knowledge inherently. Don't believe that person. You have to believe the person who says that he got his knowledge from so and so Acharya. And you have to see who that Acharya whom he mentions. Where did he get his knowledge from? He has to say that he got his knowledge from his Acharya. That's how you need to keep seeing, and this chain should go until Lakshmi Narayana. That is what he is an Acharyan who gets his knowledge from Acharya, and this chain from an Acharya to Shishya, Acharya to Shishya. If we go from Shishya Acharya in this ascending order, then it should go up to Lakshmi Narayana. That person is an Acharya, not anyone else. Don't believe anyone else. Believe only that person who says that I got all this knowledge from my Acharya. Otherwise, if anyone else is saying I got this inherently, that is all bogus. Don't believe it. So now, Acharya, what does Acharya does? That is, we just saw that Acharya does Upadesham to us, right? What kind of Upadesham does Acharya do? Acharya does theoretical knowledge Upadesham, and also he makes us practice the Anushtanas. We saw that, right? Now, where do we get to know about these Anushtanas or karma, what I just said about? We get to know about those from Shastrams. So, now we get a question. Why should I listen to Shastra? That is normal. There is nothing wrong in asking that question. Why should I listen to Shastram? Shastram tells hundreds of things. Why should I listen to it? Right? We all get that question. For that, there is an answer in Gita Bhashyam from Swami Ramanuja. He says, Sahasrebhyaha Mata Pitrebhyaha Vatsalataram Shastram. So, what he says here is that, let's say there is some village. Just go to some old time, let's say 60-70 years back. Let's say there is some village and there are some 100 huts in the village, and in each hut there is a couple who is living, and no couple has any child. They are all childless. Okay, so this kind of couples are living in a village. Then, after many years, let's say there is some child born to one couple. How does the whole village treat that person? Treat that child? Whole village would treat. All the couples would see that son or daughter, whoever it is, more than their own child, right? That's how they would treat. Shastram would treat us, Shastram treats us with more care than all these 1,000 couples. That's what Swami Ramanuja says in Gita Bhashyam. So in this way, we see, why should we listen to Shastram? Shastra means Shasanat Shastram, which means it administers us, it rules us. So let's say there is some one-way board in the road. Let's say we are all honest people who are following the rules for some time. Let's imagine that. So we see that there is a one-way board. We should not go in that one way. We know all that. Then what we do? We go. Let's say we think the road is very wide. This is not really logical, because road is really very wide. We should not. There should not be. This should not be one way. It should be two-way. That's what if we think. And if we go in that one way, what happens to us? We are not safe, right? If we go in the one way, we are not safe ultimately. This is how Shastras even rule us. Shastra also says that this is something that you have to do and this is something that you do not have to do. Then if we see the board, this road is one way, then we cannot ask why this road is one way, this road is so wide, you can make it two way. We cannot ask that, it is rule. That's it. That's what we cannot see logic behind everything in Shastra. You cannot see, it is all beyond logic. Okay, if we say you cannot see logic, then you would say then it is illogical. No, it is beyond logic. In that way, that is why we need to listen to Shastra. So now let's see the context of Bhagavad-Gita. Where was Bhagavad-Gita Upadesham held? Bhagavad-Gita Upadesham was held in the Kurukshetra battle. During the Kurukshetra battle, that's when it was held. Where it was held? In the Kurukshetra war field it was held. Between whom the conversation was? It was, as we saw in the first slide, we saw Krishna and Arjuna. So this was between Krishna and Arjuna, Bhagavad Gita was held, right? Why am I setting this context? Because before knowing anything, setting the context and speaking about it makes sense later. Because if we don't set the context before, then if we go on saying something, then it doesn't make sense. So setting the context is very important before we go into the subject. You might all know this context, but I'm just repeating because the other things, whatever I say further, should make sense. That's why I'm giving the context here. So our Swami, our APN Swami always say, whenever we speak something, we have to speak with reference. That's what he says, ERC, which means explain reference with context. If we don't say that, then whatever we speak, then it doesn't make sense. Today our WhatsApp messages are like that. If we send some WhatsApp message, there is no context behind, there is no context afterwards, the other person doesn't understand what is happening. But if we go a few years back, let's say there was some telegram, right? Telegram was the only way of communication, let's imagine. But was this the way we were communicating? No, we were communicating clearly during the telegram days because we had that was the only option we had. Today we have many options and our communication skill, with these options, we have to utilize our communication skill in the right way. But what we are doing, our communication skill has really come down and we don't give context what we are speaking about, and just the messages, we just keep doing messages and the other person never understands. So this should never happen. So whenever we speak, we need to speak with context, and that's what Krishna did here to Arjuna, and that's why I am setting the context even before going into Bhagavad Gita. And why should we hear Bhagavad Gita? Because It is all for our ultimate benefit. So as I said, how Shastras take care of us, more than 1,000 couples in the village, Shastras take care of us. In the same way, Bhagavadgita, which is also the essence of all the Upanishads, even this is also a Upanishad Shastra, so this also gives care or takes care of us in the same way. So that's why it is very important. If we understand this is for our ultimate benefit and not for anything else, we will listen Bhagavad Gita. If we don't understand, we won't listen. So for doing anything, as our Swami says, let's say if we have to do anything, the only reason for doing something is the Shraddha or the conviction that we have behind it. If that Shraddha is not there, we won't do that thing. That's how it is. So this is for our ultimate benefit. Bhagavad Gita is for our ultimate benefit. If that gets into our mind, then we start listening to it and we can enjoy the Vishesharthams from Bhagavad Gita. So what kind of Shastram is this Bhagavad Gita? Bhagavad Gita is a big lamp in our lives. What kind of lamp Bhagavad Gita is? If we see, Swami Deshikan describes this in Daya Shatakam. He says, Prabhuta Vibhudat Vishadbharana Kinna Vishwambhara Dharapanayana Chala Tvamavatariya Lakshmi Dharam Nirakratavati Daye Nigama Saudhadipa Shriya Vipaschidavigitaya Jagati Gitaya Andham Tamaha, where he is saying that this lamp of Bhagavad Gita lights us. What kind of, who is lighting this lamp? Let's say, let's imagine, let's take an example here. Let's say we are all going to a museum, and that museum or even the palace, whatever you are seeing in the screen, we go into the palace, and as we enter into the palace, the power goes off. As the power goes off, there are many things like the chandelier and the glass items, many glass articles, and beautiful paintings everywhere. There are many things that we can see inside the palace. But if the power goes off, can we see anything? Can we see anything in darkness? No. That is when, let's say, there is a staff member of that palace or museum wherever we go, and that staff member lights a lamp, and he gets a lamp with his hand wherever we are, and he just puts his lamp on his hand, and that is enough. We can see everything there, right? That is how Lord Krishna is lighting the lamp of Bhagavad Gita here. Even here, this museum, what museum it is? It is Nigama Saudha. Swami Deshikan says, Nigama Saudha means it is the palace of Vedas. That is what we see. In this palace of Vedas, there are many different beautiful things. What are those things? They are the chandelier, glass articles, whatever I told you. What are these chandelier, glass articles, paintings? What are these things? They are nothing but they are Ramayana, Mahabharata, they are our Acharyas, Granthas. Whatever we learn from our Acharya, all these things are there as articles to enjoy, as a visual treat for us inside the museum. So once the person or the staff person, if he comes in with lighting a lamp, then we can enjoy all these things with they are a beautiful visual treat for us. That's how with this lamp Lord Krishna is showing us how beautiful are the Vedas and how beautiful is the essence of Vedas, because this Bhagavad Gita is the essence of Upanishads, and Upanishads are nothing but the Vedantams, which is the last part or the head part of the Vedas. So how enjoyable it is, he is giving us by taking a lamp, and he is lighting a lamp of Bhagavad Gita. With that, we are getting to know what kind of Upadesham it is and what all we can enjoy. That's what here Lord Krishna is giving, not only to Arjuna, he is giving to all of us. That's what we are going to see now. So now you can see Lord Krishna is milking from cow, right? So there is a shlokam which describes, this is the Dhyanam shlokam, which describes that Lord Krishna is milking the milk not only for the calf, it is also for all of us. How is it? Let's see that. Sarvopanishado gavaha dogdha gopalanandanaha partho vatsas sudhir bhokta dugdham geetamritam mahat. In this shlokam, we see that Sarvopanishado gavaha, that is, all the Upanishads have taken a form of a cow and it has come to Lord Krishna. And who is Lord Krishna? He is the Gopalanandana. He is the milking person, right? He comes from the milking community. So he milks from the Upanishads. That is, the cow is the Upanishads. And from all those Upanishads, he is milking. And what are we getting at the last? It is not milk we are getting here. It is the nectar or amrutam which we are getting. That is the Gita amrutam we are getting here. So that is what here this shloka says. But however, our acharyas extend this shloka, because who are our acharyas? Kudam niraikkum vallal perum pashukkal, says Andal. Our acharyas are the persons who just give knowledge if we just have some desire to have that knowledge. Those are the kind of persons our acharyas are. So in that way, they just go on giving knowledge. That's how our acharyas are, and that's how their saulabhyam is. So there is Shastram. According to Shastram, if someone milks the cow, then if someone has to milk the cow, before that the calf has to have the milk from the cow, only then others can have the milk. This is Shastram, but let's not get into it deeply today. Are we doing that? No, let's not go into it. Now this is for enjoying for all of us, because once the calf has the milk, then it is distributed to all. That's how Arjuna, who is compared to calf in this shlokam, gets the milk first, and then that milk is distributed, which this is not milk here. As I told you earlier, this is the nectar of Gita that is distributed to everyone else. That is how this shlokam describes how Gita is. Our acharyas even extend this by saying that if we get milk to our homes, do we just use milk? No, right? We get curd or yogurt from it, and we make butter from it, and from butter we get ghee, right? We get all these items from milk. So milk is not just milk. So from milk we do get many such items. So in this way, not just milk is distributed. Amrita, this Amrita was drunk by Arjuna first, right? But after that, are we just having milk? If we get milk to our homes, we make butter, we make yogurt, we make butter, we make ghee. And not only this, we have milk products which we can do, many milk sweets which we can do, and we can do sweets from butter, we can do sweets from ghee, and we can even prepare many items from yogurt, right? That is how the Vishesha Arthams or the special meanings of Gita are. Our acharyas give those special meanings to us. The special meanings of Gita are like this milk, yogurt, buttermilk, butter, ghee, sweets. This is all the Vishesharthams of the nectar of Bhagavadgita. And that is how the Vishesharthams are. So, in this way, the calf, which is Arjuna, right? The calf only had milk, but for all others, how beneficial are we? We are enjoying all other sweets. So, we have to utilize this in the right way so that we can lead our lives successfully. So, let's see what kind of characters were Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana. Why am I talking here? You might think there is no connection to go into this. But if you see in Bhagavad Gita, how Bhagavad Gita starts, it starts with Dhritarashtra Uvacha, right? What kind of person Dhritarashtra is? He is Swami Ramanuja says in his Bhashyam that he is Sarvatmana Andhaha, which means he is blind in all ways, not just externally. He is blind even internally too. That kind of person is Dhritarashtra. If Dhritarashtra is this kind of person, is Dhritarashtra really eligible to start this kind of a holy Grantham, which is Bhagavad Gita? Did you ever think about this? We say Bhagavad Gita is such a holy book. It is holy book for all our Sanatanis. We say all these things, right? Did you ever get this question? Why Dhritarashtra started this Bhagavad Gita and why Bhagavad Gita starts with Dhritarashtra Uvacha? Does Dhritarashtra really have eligibilities to start Bhagavad Gita? No, right? Because he was not really a virtuous person or any person who is beneficial for us to learn something from him. He is not such a person. Then how does Bhagavad Gita start from him, from Dhritarashtra? That's because if we see, that's why I said the context is very important. That's why I said the context of Bhagavad Gita even before coming into here. We saw when, where, for whom, why Bhagavad Gita, right? During that time we saw that this Bhagavad Gita happened in Kurukshetra during Mahabharata war, and this was the conversation between Krishna and Arjuna, and now this conversation is going on in the palace between Dhritarashtra and Sanjaya. This is what sets the context. So this is very important to know why Dhritarashtra Uvacha comes at first. Because where did Bhagavad Gita start? It started in the war field. And where in the war field, how did it start? Because the question which Dhritarashtra asks is very apt to start the Bhagavad Gita. Dhritarashtra doesn't have any eligibility to start Bhagavad Gita, but the question what Dhritarashtra asked is very apt to start the Bhagavad Gita. What question did Dhritarashtra ask? He asked, Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yutsavaha Mamaka Pandavaschaiva Kimakurvata Sanjaya. He asked this. Why did he ask this? He was a very greedy person. Greedy person means he is over ambitious. He wants everything to himself and he doesn't spare anything to anyone else because he wants victory in this war only to him. He doesn't desire victory to the other party. So that's what Dhritarashtra wants. That's how greedy he is. Even before going into his greed, let's see the ego of Duryodhana. So it's not only Duryodhana, even Dhritarashtra was like that. If Dhritarashtra supports Duryodhana, then he is also egoistic, right? That is how Dhritarashtra, how egoistic he is, we get to know just because since he was the only person who was supporting Duryodhana in every act, we get to know how egoistic he is. In this way, we can see he is the complete form of ego, and also we see that he is complete form of greed. He is the personified form of greed. Greed doesn't mean just to earn money more. No. Greed means being over ambitious. He wants everything to himself. He is greedy plus selfish. He wants everything to himself. He doesn't want to spare anything to anyone else because these people did not even spare a pin of land for Pandavas. How greedy they are, that. So Dhritarashtra is the personification of ego and greed. We can see that's how Dhritarashtra is. He is not at all eligible to start this Bhagavad Gita. But the only reason, that is the first slokam of Bhagavad Gita, that is because Dhritarashtra, what he questioned was the right thing, because that question is the apt thing for the Bhagavad Gita to start, because we said that we already saw that in the context, right, while setting the context. So now if we see in these days what's happening to our younger generation, they are getting excited for all little things. Excitement can be with different feelings. It is not just happiness. Excitement can be in grief, excitement can be in happiness, excitement can be in anger, excitement can be in various feelings. So these kind of people, the younger generation, what we see today, they just get excited for all little things. We do see that every day in our daily lives, right? That is what here if we see Arjuna, what he did, he was excited in grief, right? He was so much in grief, he was even sobbing sometime. He was sobbing, and he did even Sharanagati, he did surrender to Lord Krishna by putting down the bow and arrow, and he said, whatever I blabbered until now, don't take this into consideration, you have to give me knowledge. That's what Arjuna said. He was in grief, he even sobbed. But we today, I include even myself, we today, we are all in this confused situation. The only difference between Arjuna and us is Arjuna got to know, he realized after some time that he is confused and did Sharanagati to Perumal. But we are not realizing that we are in grief. That is the only difference between Arjuna and us. Even we are in grief, even we are confused today, just like Arjuna. Only difference between Arjuna and us is Arjuna knows that he is confused. We don't know that we are confused. What is the difference between Arjuna and Duryodhana? If we see, Duryodhana is in anger all the time. Because if you see, we are going to see the following verses. Duryodhana is in anger 1, Duryodhana is in fear 2. Just like Kamsa. Just like Kamsa. What we saw about Kamsa a little earlier. In the same way, it is Duryodhana's character is also in the same way. Kamsa got scared. That's what even Andal says in Tirupavai. Karuttai Pizhappithu Kanjan Vaitril. Right? That's what she says. Karuttai Pizhappithu, which means Neruppenna Ninna Nedunale, Karuttai Pizhappithu Kanjan Vaitril. So, Krishna, once that Ashariri said Krishna is going to be born as a child, then this was like the ball of fire going inside his stomach. This ball of fire is the fear what he has. The same fear even Duryodhana had, because we get to know from the following shlokas why Duryodhana feared and why Arjuna feared. We can see the difference. Even Arjuna got feared in the war field. Even Duryodhana got feared in the war field. But there is a difference of fear between Duryodhana and Arjuna's fear. What is the difference? If you see how egoistic Duryodhana is while going to just get the Sainyam or to get the army, when he went to Krishna, you can see how egoistic he is, and you see how Arjuna is. This is the reason. See, there is a basic difference in characters in both of them, right? You see that here. That is why you see the difference in the fear between both of them. Even Arjuna feared and even Duryodhana feared. What is the reason? What kind of fear did they have? There is a difference between that. If we see that, we get to know from these shlokas that in the first chapter we see that Duryodhana went to Bhishmacharya and started speaking near him, saying that Pashyaitam Panduputranam Acharya Mahatim Chamom Vyudham Drupada Putrena Tavashishyena Dhimata Yudhamanyuscha Vikrantaha Uttamaujascha Viryavan Saubhadro Draupadeyascha Sarvayeva Maharatha Bhavan Bhishmascha Karnascha Kripascha Samitinjayah Ashwathama Vikarnascha Saumadattis Tathaivacha. See the fear in the next slokam here. Aparyaptam tadasmakam balam bhishma bhirakshitam paryaptam tvidame tesham balam bhima bhirakshitam. Clearly he is exhibiting his fear here. That is, he first goes to first goes to Dronacharya and then says that please see all the Pandavas. Why did he say that? Because just by seeing Pandavas, he was in fear. How Kamsa was in fear just by hearing the Ashariri that Krishna is going to kill. See, in the same way, even Duryodhana was in fear just by seeing Pandavas on the other side. That's why he is saying to Dronacharya, Pashyaitam Panduputranam. See these Pandavas on the opposite side. They have all assembled here. And who are they? Yudhamanyuscha Vikrantaha. All these people are all big people. They are all Maharathis. We have different grades, which is Maharathi, Athirathi. We have all these grades in the Sainyams which they were giving in those days. So they are all Maharathis. That's how they are. But who are you? He is saying to Guru indirectly in this way, Bhavan, you are there, but are you really useful to us? You are on our side for namesake, but always you go to Perumal and pray that victory should be for Pandavas. Are you really in our side? That's what he is asking here. Bhavan, you are there just for namesake. You are not really with us, says Duryodhana to Dronacharya. See, this is how do we speak to Acharya? No, right? When we go to some big people, this is not the way we have to speak. Bhavan, you are there, but you are not for any use. That's what Duryodhana is saying here. Bhishmascha, even Bhishmacharya is there, but even he is not of any use. He always supports Pandavas. Why is Bhishma needed for us? He is not of any use. But if you see on the other side, they are all Maharathis. They are all big people on the Pandava side. But on our side, whether it is Bhishma, or it is you, or even Kripacharya, everyone is supporting Pandavas. No one is supporting us. Even the Vikarna, that Vikarna is, he always keeps advising something to me. So he is also not useful for me. So on our side, the side itself is not good. That's what Duryodhana is saying. He is expressing his fear here. So we can get to know the fear of Duryodhana from the next slokam. That is, Aparyaptam Tadasmakam. How many Akshohini Sainyams are there in Kaurava's side? There are 11 Akshohini Sainyams on Kaurava's side. At the same time, what is the number of Akshohini Sainyas on Pandava's side? It is 7. So Kauravas are having the army more than Pandavas. Even then, Duryodhana is saying, whatever Sainyam or army we are having is not enough for us. Aparyaptam, this is not enough for us. See, you can see the fear of Duryodhana clearly here. Aparyaptam, even after having such a big army, he says that our army is not enough. See the fear of Duryodhana. Paryaptam tvidametesham balam bhima bhirakshitam. Here he says Bhishma bhirakshitam at the top for Kauravas, and he says Bhima bhirakshitam for Pandavas. Why did he say so? It is just rhyming in the shlokam, that's why he said so. No, that's not the reason. He said this because Bhishmacharya was the commander-in-chief. However, was Bhima the commander-in-chief on Pandava's side? No, Bhima was not the commander-in-chief. Commander-in-chief was Drupada on Pandava's side. But why did Duryodhana say Bhima's name here after saying Bhishma's name on the Kaurava's side? The reason is Bhima had took the pratigna that he will kill and finish all Pandavas. He is scared of, Duryodhana is scared of Bhima here particularly. Even if he is not commander-in-chief, here Duryodhana is saying Bhima is the one who is going to finish us. So Duryodhana is scared in that way, and he is mentioning Bhima's name here and not the commander-in-chief Drupada's name. So this is how we see how fear of Duryodhana is shown in Bhagavadgita. So all these slokams shows how Duryodhana got scared. Now we see the difference, we are going to see the difference between the fear of Duryodhana and fear of Arjuna. Now the last slokam what we have here, Ve patuscha sharire me roma harshascha jayate Gandivam sramsate hasta tvachaiva paridahyate. This is the shlokam which shows the fear of Arjuna. Even Arjuna is in fear. Why is he in fear? Duryodhana was in fear because of his defeat. Arjuna is in fear because of his victory. Arjuna is very confident that he is going to win, but Arjuna got scared only because of his victory. So that is the difference between the fear of Arjuna and Duryodhana. Let me say, I recently saw a WhatsApp forward on my phone. I normally don't believe these things, as I told earlier. I don't believe on WhatsApp forwards. I don't believe on whatever we get on WhatsApp. Any messages I don't believe, because we don't know the authenticity of it, right? So, but this is very relatable here. That's why I'm going to say here. There were two small kids who were playing table tennis. They both are friends. Both are playing table tennis, and the person, one boy defeats another boy. The boy who defeats another boy just cries in grief, just like Arjuna. He won. Even after winning the table tennis match, he just cries because he is my friend, he got defeated from me. That's what is the feeling of that small boy. It is the same feeling what Arjuna is having here. So that's how, when you have some friendship or some attachment in some way, that's how you get into grief. That's what shows this forward. Now, what Gita shows us, let us see, not very deeply, Gita, first of all, we saw the differences between fear of Arjuna and fear of Duryodhana. If you see the Gita Bhashyam of Swami Ramanujacharya, it is only Swami Ramanujacharya who has done the Vyakhyanam or Bhashyam extensively, elaborately for the first chapter, which is Arjuna Vishada Yogam. So it is no one else has commented in this way. It is only Swami Ramanujacharya who has done the commentary for the first chapter, which is Arjuna Vishada Yogam, which is Arjuna is in grief. And as I told you before, why Swami Ramanujacharya has to do this elaborate commentary? Because Swami Ramanujacharya never explains any shlokams without any context. He always gives context, only then he explains the shlokam. That's how Ramanujacharya's Bhashyam is. That is the speciality of Ramanujacharya's Bhashyam. You get the connection from the previous shlokam to the other shlokams. Normally, if you see other Vyakhyanams, you don't get the connection to one shlokam to another. You just get the Vyakhyanam for each shlokam. But Swami Ramanujacharya, for the benefit for all of us, he has done like this. So, after first chapter, let us go into the second chapter. In the second chapter, Swami Ramanuja, here Ramanuja is nothing but Balarama's brother. That is, Balarama is Rama, right? Rama's Anuja is Krishna. That Ramanuja did this Upadesha. That is Atma Tattva. What did he say? Natvevaham jatunasam natvam neme janadhipaha nachaivana bhavishyamaha sarve vayamatah param. Here he is saying the difference between Atma and other things. He is saying Atma is different from whatever you see. I am not going to bore you today with philosophy. We'll just see this briefly. He is saying that Atma is different from body or whatever you see outside. Atma is different from all those things. Not just that, he is also confirming that Atma is the only Chetana that we have in this world. What does Chetana mean? Chetana means the sentient being. What does sentient mean? Sentient means one who has knowledge. So, Chetana doesn't mean living being or non-living being. Achetana and Chetana doesn't mean living and non-living beings. Chetana means one who is sentient, one who has knowledge. That is what Chetana is. So in this way, now Swami Ramanujacharya is showing us, even that Ramanuja, who is Balarama's brother, is showing us that Atma is different from whatever we see, and it is Chetana, that is, it is having knowledge. That is what here Krishna is saying. Not just that, he is also saying, you, me, and all these king soldiers who have assembled here are going to live forever, and we also lived in the past, and we are also living here, which means in this body that Atma is living. Even before this body, Atma was there. Even after this body, Atma is going to be there. Atma never gets perished. That's what here Krishna is registering us. So this is a very important shloka to know for all of us, that Atma is Nityam, all other things are not Nityam, or all other things are not eternal. Only Atma is eternal, so that we concentrate on the eternal things and shift our focus from non-eternal things to eternal things. That is why this shlokam, Natvevaham jatunasam, Natvam neme janadhipaha, Nachaivana bhavishyamaha, Sarve vayamatah param. This is very important for us to know that what should we focus on and what should not be our focus on, where we should not focus on, we should know that. So this is a very important shlokam. In the same way, he is going to say that one person, if there is a person, he was a young boy at some time, and he gets into his youth age, and he gets into his middle age, and he gets into his old age, and then he changes into another body, that is, he goes into another body. That's how he is also registering here that Atma is different from body. Again, Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yavvanam jara tatha dehantara praptir dhiras tatra namukhyati. Again, he is also saying what kind of thing is Atma. Is it a thing? Is it an object? That is what he is saying. If it is an object, then we can hold by our hand, or we can use some vernier compass. We have many things to hold some things, right? So we can use different kind of instruments to hold the objects. But Atma is not like that. There is nothing, there is no instrument that we can hold, or there is nothing that we can perceive externally through our senses. Atma is not like that. That is what Krishna is saying here. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha, na chainam kledayantyapaha, na shoshayati marutaha. He is saying there is no such instrument or weapon which can cut the Atma. Because if we have to cut something, then we have to hold it like this and then cut, right? If we can hold, then we can cut. Or if we can perceive in some way, then we can cut. There is no way to perceive it, there is no way to hold it, then there is no question of cutting it. In this way, it cannot be cut by any instrument, it cannot be burnt by fire, it cannot be made wet by water, it cannot be dried by air. That is what Krishna is registering here with this Atma Tattva in the second chapter. Now, if we see what this Mahabharata war is, this is very important to all of our lives, because this Mahabharata war, Swami Deshkan says, it is the war which is going on internally inside our mind. That's what Swami Deshikan says. That doesn't mean Mahabharata did not happen really. That is not the meaning here. Swami Deshikan is saying Mahabharata really happened, but how do we have to see this Mahabharata war? This Kurukshetra war, we need to see it as the internal war which is going within us. That is what Swami Deshikan is saying here. How do we see that as an internal war? Let's say that what is the quantity of Sainyam, or the numbers of Sainyam, army of Kauravas. If we see the army of Kauravas, it is 11 Akshohini Sainyams, right? They are more in number than Pandavas. Pandavas Sainyam is 7 in number, right? Pandavas are 7 and 11 Akshohini Sainyams are for Kauravas. So if we see, Kauravas are more in number, Pandavas are less in number, right? Who are these Pandavas? These Pandavas are all the Satvika people, are all Satvik people, right? Because they are under the shelter of Krishna. So Pandavas are all the Satvik people. And what does this show to internalize in ourselves? So Pandavas show that Pandavas are nothing but the Satvika Gunam that we have inside us. Because Satvika Gunam is only 1 in number. That's how even Pandava's Sainyam army is less in number, which is 7 Akshohini Sainyam. But the other Gunams, which is other than Satvika, which is Rajasa and Tamasa Gunams, they are 2 in number, which is greater than Satvika, right? So this Rajasa and Tamasa Gunams show that they are more in number, just how Kauravas are more in number. Kauravas are, the quantity of Kauravas army is 11 Akshohini Sainyams, right? That's how Rajasa and Tamasa Gunams are within us. Rajasa and Tamasa Gunams are 2 in number, however Satvik Gunam is only 1 in number. So this Satvik Gunam, even if it is less in number, it should, Satvik Gunam means it always takes the shelter of the Lord. There is no doubt about it. But only if this Satvik Gunam gets the shelter of the Lord, only then this war can be successful for us. Otherwise it is not. That is what Mahabharata war shows us. That is what even Swami Vedanta Deshika says in one of his natakams or drama that he has composed, which is called as Sankalpa Suryodayam. This Sankalpa Suryodayam natakam shows us that how the war goes on between two sides. Let me introduce the characters briefly of Sankalpa Suryodayam so that it would be very helpful to internalize ourselves. In Sankalpa Suryodayam, Swami Deshikan says that there is one Jivan who is Jivatma. There is one Jivatma and there is a wife to Jivatma. Who is that wife? Wife is nothing but who always stays with Jivatma, that is the Jnanam or knowledge. So Jivatma is the main character, knowledge is the wife, and they have children. What kind of children they have? On one side there is a big party which is Viveka Maharaja and party. They are nothing but they are like Pandavas. They are the Satvika side, because Viveka is nothing but what should we focus on, what should not we focus on. To know the difference and to walk in that path is what Viveka is. So that is what, if one person is having Viveka, then he would not do any mistakes in his life. So Viveka is on one side, that is Viveka Maharaja and party. And on the other side there is another party. Which party is that? That is Mahamohan and party. And he has a lot of ministers, he has a lot of people with Mahamohan. And who are these people? Who are his ministers? His ministers are Lobha, Krodha, Kama, all these are his ministers. And even there is Darpa, Dambha, they are all his ministers, Mahamohan's ministers. In the same way, here Swami Deshikan relates this to Sankalpa Suryodayam, where there is a continuous war going on between two sides, that is the Satvika side and Rajasa and Tamasa side, where this Mahamohan and party, Rajasa and Tamasa side, always make some attempts to fail the attempts of Jivatma. Jivatma is trying to do some good things in his life, but this Mahamohan and party somehow try to fail in that attempt. That's what is the duty of Mahamohan and party. That's what even Kauravas did to Pandavas, right? So that's what Swami Deshikan relates and shows us here, that Sankalpa Suryodayam is a very what you say, very necessary drama for all of us, because if we read that, it is just to uplift ourselves. So how to lead our lives, how to be, how to behave with others, all these things, especially the gunams, the satvika gunam and war between the satvika gunam, rajasa and tamasa gunam. This is what Sankalpa Suryodayam shows us. That is what Mahabharatam also shows us, says Swami Vedanta Deshika. Now, as I said, Viveka Maharaja is the head of the party, right? He is the head for the Satvika party. And what does Viveka mean? As I already told you, on what things should we have the focus and what things we should not prioritize. That is what Viveka shows us. If we have Viveka, we get to know that. Now, if we see this shloka in Bhagavad Gita, this Krishna says us, these are all the qualities or the Atma Gunams which we need to have and we need to focus to develop within ourselves, rather than focusing on trying to comment on others or to try to correct others. So that is what Krishna is saying here. Amanitvam adhambitvam ahimsa kshantirarjavam acharyopasanam shaucham sthiryam atma vinigraha. So this is the shlokam which shows the atma gunams which we have to develop. So all these atma gunams was Lord Rama was atma guna sampurna. He had all these atma gunams. So that is why Alvar says there is no one else to learn from. We can learn many things from many persons, but if we have to learn everything from, that is only from Lord Rama. That is what Alvar says. That is because Lord Rama is complete of all these gunams. That is what Lord Krishna is doing Upadesham to Arjuna here. So the main message of this Mahabharatam war, the picture what you are seeing, is that we have to start focusing inside ourselves to develop our own Atma Gunas, rather than focusing on to correct someone else or to comment on someone else. That is what is the message from this picture. Now, what is this Bhagavad Gita? So if you see this picture, you get to know Bhagavad Gita is nothing but the reflection of our mind. If you see, mind is not written correctly, right? Mind is rotated because we see the reflection of our mind from Bhagavad Gita. That is what Bhagavad Gita is, and that is what we get to know from Bhagavad Gita. That is why we say Manasina Darpana. That's what we say. That is, it is the mirror of our mind. It shows how our mind is, as we just saw now, how the war goes on continuously between Satvika, Rajasa and Tamasa Gunas. On one side it is Satvika Gunam is one party, on the other side it is Rajasa and Tamasa Gunams. The war goes on continuously. That is what Mahabharata war shows us, right? So that is why this Bhagavad Gita is the mirror of our mind, which shows us how our mind is. And it is very important for all of us to know this, to lead a very good daily life. So in this way, if we see some information today, we say that it is data age today, right? And we get information everywhere, and information is in fingertips for us. We say that, right? Because if we just Google something, we get information in seconds, right? But how many of us do we really think, after getting the information, whether this information is authentic or not? Right? We can say data age, we get information in fingertips, we can say all these things, but do we really think that if this information is authentic or not? No, we normally don't think. We just go onto Google and just whatever we want, we just Google, and whatever the answer we get, and we take that as an answer, and that's what we keep it. No, that is not how it is. As I said during my starting of my lecture, who is an acharya? Acharya is a person who learns from his acharya, and who is that acharya? He learns from his acharya, and this chain goes until Lakshmi Narayana. That's where we should learn things from, not from Google, not from YouTube. I'm not against Google or YouTube. I'm just saying even I do use technology, I do use Google, but what things, where to learn, it is very important. That's why did I say all those things? Because even in those days, that is during Swami Ramanujacharya's days, Swami Ramanujacharya has divided this Bhagavadgita into 3 different shatkams, which is we see that as shatkatrayams. This is nothing but there is some lot of information that we have to store on our laptop, let's say. Then we need to organize that information, right? We need to first put different folders and maybe put folders inside that, and then put the file name correctly. And then another important thing is we might do all these things organized correctly. Later, if we want on some other day, if we don't remember the folder name, file name, what is the use of organizing all this? So, organization is very important. Along with that, even remembering the file name, folder names, wherever what information we have put, that is also very important. So, in this way, Swami Ramanujacharya has given us 3 different folders for this Bhagavad Gita. What are those 3 different folders? That is, first is Shatkam 1, which means the first 6 chapters is a folder. What folder it is? Because it says about one topic predominantly. What is that? Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. That is why it is divided into, it is made as one folder. Now, the next Shatkam is, that is the other 6 chapters. That is Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is the second 6 chapters, because this says about only Bhakti Yoga. That is why this is made into another different folder. The third Shatkam is 18 previously discussed summary. That is, already we saw the 12 adhyayams, right? In 12 adhyayams, whatever we saw, that is again discussed as summary in the next 6 chapters. That is what Swami Ramanujacharya is giving us, making us folders. See, he was not having laptop, he was not having all this making folder facility, putting the files here and there. We are having all these facility, but most of the times we may not organize it properly even after having all these facilities. Let's say we organized it properly. Let's say after a year we go back and see that data. Do we really remember the folder and file names? No. We are having the technology, but we don't know how to use it properly. So that is what even Swami Ramanujacharya is showing us here. Even without technology, he has made all these folders and given us. So this third Shatkam is divided into other 3 chapters. Trikam, we say this. The Trikadvayam. So this is the 3 chapters, that is 13, 14, 15. These 3 chapters talk about Chetana, Achetana and Ishvara. As I already told you, Chetana is one who is having knowledge, that is a sentient being, not our living being. Please forget our science for a moment. We learned science, in science we normally learned it as living being, non-living being. That's what the classification we learned, right? For now, you forget it. Achetana means one who is not having knowledge. Chetana means one who is having knowledge, one who is having jnanam. That is what Chetana and Achetana is. Now Ishvara, that is Lord Krishna. So we see these things in 3 chapters, and then we see in 16th chapter, it is very important for all of us. As I told you about those Atma Gunas in the Mahabharatam picture, right? That Atma Gunas and all these Gunas are discussed in this 16th chapter, which is Daivasura Sampat Vibhaga Yogam. Here, Lord Krishna says to Arjuna, "Oh Arjuna, are you really a person who is having a Daivi Sampat or Asuri Sampat?" Lord Krishna asks this here. But if we see Arjuna is a person who is having a Daivi Sampat for sure. Why? That's because why is he fearing? Why did he got scared? That's because he got scared of his own victory, right? He did not get scared for his failure or defeat. No, he got scared for his own victory. And for what? He got feared and he went into sorrow just by thinking of others. Who are that others? They are the people who are on the opposite side. That is the Kauravas. Who are these Kauravas? They are the own brothers of Pandavas, right? So they are our own brothers. If something happens to them in the war field, then I would be the reason, says Arjuna. And this is all a kind of Satvika Gunam, no doubt. But Swami Alavandar says in his Gitartha Sangraham, Asthana Sneha Karunyam. That is, this is not the place to show Karunyam or Sneham to the opposite side, because this is the war field. And in this war field, for a soldier or Kshatriya like you, the duty is to do war. But however, showing this Sneham and Karunyam on the other side, that is for Kauravas, this is the Satvika Guna which Arjuna exhibited. So for sure, he is having Daivi Sampat. So that is what here Krishna is describing. What is Daivi Sampat? What is Asuri Sampat? Asuri Sampat is what we saw with Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana. We saw that Dhritarashtra is Sarvatmana Andhaha. That is, he is blind in all ways. How he is greed, how he is egoistic. We saw how Duryodhana is egoistic. So in that way, they are all having all these Asuri Sampats. But however, Lord Krishna says, "Oh Arjuna, you are not having Asuri Sampat. Don't worry, you are having Daivi Sampat, and that's why worrying for others, and that's why you are getting Upadesham from me. Otherwise you won't get this." So in this way, Krishna says to Arjuna, you are having Daivi Sampat, do not worry, I am here to help you, and Krishna is helping by giving his Upadeshams. Now, what do we see in 17th chapter? We see about Shraddha Traya Vibhagam. That is, if you have heard our Swami's Upanyasams previously, our Swami has also quoted this. That is, what is Shraddha? Shraddha is nothing but conviction in doing something. If we have, it could be any small thing or any big thing. If we have Shraddha in something, then that conviction or Shraddha is just enough to do that thing. But however, if we don't have Shraddha in that thing, that is the only reason for not doing that thing. We may say hundreds or thousands of excuses for not doing a thing, but the real reason behind it is not having Shraddha. That is not having conviction in doing that thing. So this is how we see about Shraddha here. And also, where do we have to have Shraddha, says Lord Krishna here in this chapter. That is, whatever Shastram advises us to do, that's where we need to have Shraddha. And whatever Shastram never advises us to do, if we have Shraddha there, it is of no use. And at the same time, if we don't have Shraddha in the things that we have to do, even that is also of no use, says Lord Krishna here. And also in Moksha Sannyasa Yoga is the last chapter. This is where we see all the things are summarized in this 18th chapter. And in this 18th final chapter, we see that how this Karma Yoga should be performed and who are the reasons behind performing this Karma Yoga really. We see all those things. We will be seeing that in some time. Now, if we see, this is the Swami Alavandar's Gitartha Sangraha. Swami Alavandar says, Swadharma Jnana Vairagya Sadhya Bhakti Eka Gocharaha Narayana Param Brahma Gita Shastre Samiritaha. Which means Swadharma, first thing that if we are hearing to Gita, then what should we go and practice? The first thing that we have to practice is to know what our dharma is and then practice it. What is our virtue? What is our dharma? That is, dharma, it could be in many ways. For example, you are coming to temple here, right? So, how should we go to temple? We should go to temple in the attire which is recommended or suggested to go to the temple, right? That is the attire we should follow to go to the temple. But so we see that there are a lot of people who are having hesitation to just to just change the attire and to go in this attire to the temple. Let's take an example. Let's say if some person goes to a temple and he comes to the temple with just the the business dress, let's say, and I am asking him, why did you come in this business dress? Then that person says, I came directly from office, I got late, that's why I came like this. That's what that person says. Okay, no problem. But I'm going to ask a question back here. If I say, go to office just after the temple, after coming to temple in the morning, go to office after that, would that person go in this traditional attire to office? No, right? That is the difference we are seeing here. So there is lot of hesitation in just following our dharma. Following our dharma should be our pride. It is not for some dambhikam. As I just told about Dambha, in Sankalpa Suryodayam, Swami Deshikan says there is a character called Dambha which just does things for just to show for others. He just pretends like doing things, but internally he is not doing anything. We are not doing this because of Dambha. This is not for Dambha. This is our pride. We are following our dharma. So that's how we need to follow our swadharma. So dharma is not just attire. It is also the karmas which we have to perform. What is that karma? Karma is a very big word. Don't think that. Karma is, let's say, if you are eligible to do sandhyavandanam, then doing sandhyavandanam is the karma. Then if you are eligible to do cooking in home, then that is the karma. Cooking in home is not for others. So don't think we are exploiting women and women is just cooking. No, woman is cooking for the sake of Perumal and it is offered to Perumal first and then we are having it. So we are not exploiting women here. This is just the separation of duties for different persons. That's it. So in that way, someone has the duty of cooking, someone has the duty of cleaning the puja room, someone has the duty of lighting the lamp, putting rangoli, and all the doing Tiruvaradhanam for someone else. So these are all the duties that we have to follow. If we follow these duties, then Jnanam, Vairagyam, from that Sadhya Bhaktiyaka Gocharaha, which means all these things follow in time. If you do these for a long time, from your small age, if you start doing all these things, then at an age when you are really old, then all these things come to you. That is what Swami Alamdar is saying here. So, hearing Gita, what should we take from Gita? What is the takeaway from Gita? The important takeaway from Gita is Swadharmam. If we are hearing Gita, following Swadharmam, practicing Swadharmam is what is important for us. So, Narayana Param Brahma Gita Shastre Samiritaha, that's what we see. This is what Narayana has told in Gita Shastram. But if you see in Bhagavadgita, there is no word called Narayana in the whole of Bhagavad-gita. Hrishikesha is there, Madhusudana is there, Govinda is there, all these words are there, but Narayana is not there in Bhagavad-gita. Then how does Alamandar say Narayana is saying Bhagavad-gita? He just says this because we get to know this from the Vedavakyam. Narayanah param brahma tattvam Narayanah parah ब्रह्मण्यो देवकी पुत्रो ब्रह्मण्यो मधुसूदनो सर्वभूतस्थमेकं नारायणं. Here Narayana is the Paratatvam, says Veda, and then after that Brahmanyo Devaki Putro, and that Parabrahman, who is that? He has taken avataram as Devaki Putra, and he is Madhusudana, and we have seen the word Madhusudana in Bhagavadgita, and he is Narayana. That's why Swami Alavandar says here Narayana Param Brahma Gita Shastre Samiritah. So we can see the translation of that verse which we saw, Swadharma Jnana Vairagya, we saw, right? The translation of this verse has been given by Swami Vedanta Deshikan in Tamil. It is the same thing which says in Tamil, Karumamum Jnananum Kondelum Kadalukor Ilakendru Arumarai Uchiyul Adarithodum Arum Piramum Tirumagalodu Varum Tirumalendru Tanuraithan Darumamuganda Dhananjayanakku Avan Sharatiye, says Swami Deshikan. It is the exact complete translation of what we saw, Swadharma Jnana Vairagya. This is what Swami Deshikan says in his Gita-artha Sangraham. So in this way, the takeaway for us, if we are hearing to Gita today, is that we have to follow our Swadharmam. That is the takeaway for us. So even Swami Deshikan also says this in his Tamil Pashuram, which he translates exactly what Swami Alavandar has said. Now if we see this picture, I already quoted this verse partly, that is Asthana Sneha Karunyam, right? Asthana Sneha Karunya Dharma Dharma Dhiya Kulam Partham Prapannam Uddishya Shastravatarnam Kritam, says Swami Alavandar in his Gita-artha Sangraham. Here he is saying, you are having Satvika Buddhi. I know that. That is why you are worrying for others, because you are going to kill others and they are going to die because of you. That's why you are worrying for others. This is your Satvika Buddhi. I know that. But this is not the time. This is not the place to worry about others. Asthanam. This is not the sthanam for Sneham and Karunyam. So it is at some other place. Let's say there is some doctor. What is his occupation? He has to do surgeries and many other things, right? If he goes on to a operation theater and if he sees the patient and then if he says that I will not do this operation because this is all himsa, I will not do this, this is all himsa, I cannot cut all these things. If he says that, is he fit to be a doctor? No, right? So in this way, doctor has to perform his duty at the time wherever he is performing. That is how even soldier has to perform his duty. If soldier is at a war, then he has to perform his duty for the nation, for the safety of the nation, for the safety of the upcoming generations. He has to perform his duty. He cannot say, I am doing himsa, the other person is going to die. This is all violence. I cannot do it. No, this is not the right thing, because for anything there is some time and place where it has to be performed, how it has to be performed. So in this way, whoever is following whatever occupation, they have to follow their occupations and they have to do their occupations so that it is for the benefit of the other people. In this way, Krishna is making Arjuna understand that this is for the ultimate benefit of the upcoming generations and for the other people you are fighting. So do not worry about this. Lord Krishna says this to Arjuna. Now, let's see some shlokas which shows about what Bhagavad-gita says in brief. So if we see, Karma Yoga is one of the topic which Bhagavad-gita says. There are, as I told you, today Bhagavad-gita has a lot of versions, and you would have gone into this Bhagavad-gita maybe on Google, YouTube, somewhere, or some WhatsApp forward or somewhere. As I told you, whenever you do this Googling or whenever you go to YouTube, the one thing which you have to have in your mind is the authenticity. So whenever you go to Google or whenever you go to YouTube, when you search or do a search to search something and get the result, the only thing you need to have in mind is the authenticity. How authentic it is, we need to know that. So in this way, Karma Yoga, you might be knowing from many other places, but that's not what Swami Ramanuja says. Swami Ramanuja says, what is Karma Yoga? Correctly according to what Krishna told. What is Krishna's intention here? Swami Ramanuja is giving here. Esha te bhita sankhye buddhir yoge tvimam shruno buddhya yukto yaya partha karma bandham prahasyasi. Here Krishna is saying, you do whatever work you have to do. With what jnanam you have to do. There should be some jnanam when you are doing this. What jnanam you should have? You should have the jnanam that the fruits of this karma, whatever you are doing, is not for me. It is for Bhagavan. You should have that jnanam. With that jnanam, if you do karma Anushtaana, that is, these fruits are for Bhagavan. And not just the fruits. If you think you are the doer of this karma, if you think that you are the doer of this karma, even that is also not right. You are not the doer of this karma. I am the doer of this karma. It's not only him. Perumal says there are 4 other reasons of who is the doer of this karma. In this way, Perumal describes Karma Yoga in few other slokams. Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalaheturbhor mate stvangostva karmani. You might have heard this slokam everywhere else. But what is the important thing what Swami Ramanuja or even that Ramanuja Krishna says here is that don't leave your karma. You do your karma, but how do you have to do it? Just by sacrificing the fruits of the karma, and you should not think that you are the doer. That's how you have to do it. Shruti vipratipannate yada sthasyati nischala samadho vachala buddhi tada yogam avapsyasi. Here he says, you people get to know about all these karmas from Shastram, and as I told you earlier, if one starts doing all these karmas from the small age, then if he attains an old age, then he will get the achala buddhi. This is the important thing. Why are we not having concentration in the younger generation today? Why do we see that younger generation gets excited for all the little things? The reason is this: we are not doing the karmanushthanams. If we do our karmanushthanams, we don't see this. That is, we don't see people getting excited for all little things. We don't see these things. And also, Lord Krishna says, Panchaitani mahabaho karanani nibodhame sankhye kritante proktani siddhaye sarvakarmanam. There are 5 other doers for all these karmas. Krishna goes on, explains this. The important thing that you have to know here is that I am not the doer, and the fruits whatever I will get from this karma is not for me. That is the jnanam with which we have to do the karma. In this way, if we do karma, then we will go to the stage of jnana yoga, which means arurukshor muner yogam karma karanam uchyate. Here Krishna is clearly saying aruruksho means the one person who desires to see only his Atma inside himself. What he has to do? He has to do his karmanushthanams regularly without fail. Only then he can see his Atma within himself. If you go somewhere outside, and if some person is saying, I just sat under a tree, I did dhyanam and I can see my Atma within myself, don't believe it, because here Lord Krishna is saying that you can see your Atma, you can focus on your Atma only then if you do your karmanushthanams well. Otherwise you cannot see this. Focusing on Atma is what Jnana Yoga is. Bhakti Yoga is you just concentrate on Lord Krishna continuously. Just like how if you pour an oil from a vessel, how it pours without any break, right? Without any break, the oil pours. That's how the concentration should be on Perumal. But however, today we are not adhikaris, or we don't have the right to do this Bhakti Yogam, Jnana Yogam. But however, Karma Anushtanams, we have the right, and we have our own Karma Anushtanams for every people. So the main takeaway from this Bhagavad Gita today is we have to do Karma Anushtanams, and from Karma Anushtanams get to a mature stage in the old age or some age, and then finally know that Narayana is the Param Brahma and perform Sharanagati to him. That's what even Lord Narayana says, Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tva Sarva Papebhyo Mokshayishyami Ma Shuchah. So, this is the final takeaway. So, we have to do our Karma Anushtanams. If we do it regularly, then we will get into a mature stage. Then, not just mature stage, we can handle all our, vyaparams outside very easily. It could be personal life, it's not only work life, even personal life, vyaparams, and finally surrender to Bhagavan. That's what we can do with Sharana, that is our Karma Anushtanams. So the main takeaway from Bhagavad Gita is, if you have heard about Bhagavad Gita, if some people ask about it, main takeaway is to do Karma Anushtana. That's what Bhagavad Gita says us. So in this way, let us take this message outside and practice in our lives and make our lives successful, so that we can live our lives successfully and finally surrender to Paramatma. कवितार्किक सिंहाय कल्याण गुणशालिने श्रीमते वेंकटेशाय वेदांत गुरवे नमः। वादिद्विपशिरोभंग पंचान पराक्रमः श्रीमान् वेंकटनाथार्यः चिरं विजेतां भुवि। श्रीमते वात्स्यश्री कृष्णमार्य महादेशिकाय नमः। श्रीमते अनंत पद्मनाभार्य महादेशिकाय नमः।